Hey guys, welcome to your new semester. One of the first things that we're going to be doing is continuing our work on the argumentative research paper. Okay, so if you have kept up, then you've already finished what we call the research process. You found sources and you have found notes. If you didn't, you're going to need to go back and do, I mean, it's not for credit at this point, but you're going to have to go back and find quotes from sources to be able to use in this paper to get a passing grade on it. Okay, so hate to put it that way, but some of you are in a little bit of a position here. So if you look at in our class, Google Classroom page in the classwork, there is a new assignment that it's not up as I'm recording this, but you'll be seeing it that says Argumentative Research Paper Outline. Now I'm going to make a couple of videos to make our way through this, and what I'm going to show you today to model during our live session, which I'll play this for, you might be watching it later. We'll get you through part of it, not all of it. I'll have at least one more video, and then we're going to finish this for around the middle of next week. I think having to, around the middle of next week. Okay, so let's read. This paper will consist of an introduction with opening device and thesis, body paragraphs describing the problem involving social distancing and masking, and the conclusion restating your thesis and a closing device, just like any paper for the most part, right? Your overall argument will be backed up with documented research, which you have done, from at least 3 quality resources, which you have found, and cited, which means acknowledging where you got the information, with what's called parenthetical references in the paper, and a works cited page at the end of the paper. Okay, so the parenthetical references are just little things in parentheses after each quote that you use in the paper that says where you got it, but in a shortened form, basically just the last name or part of the title. And that refers to one of the sources that you list on your works cited page at the end of the paper. But we don't have to worry about all the details of that yet. Our next step toward these goals is to construct an outline. Okay, so like I said, if you've completed the quarter 1 writing assignments and you've already have your research complete, although you might need to add more depending on how you decide to organize your points, the next steps are to figure out how some of your quotes, not all of them, but some of them, basically 6 of them, 2 per body paragraph or 3 body paragraphs, can be organized into 3 supporting points, which correspond with what we'll call your thesis blueprint. Okay, your thesis blueprint is, well, your overall thesis is going to say, well, this is a huge problem. And then your blueprint says, because of this, this, and this, right? You want to have 3 main points supporting your overall viewpoint. And those will be fleshed out in 3 body paragraphs before you get to the conclusion of your paper. So see the outline doc posted here to find the appropriate boxes for these and other parts of your papers. I covered that on the rest of this assignment in the attached video, which is what you're watching right now. There are also a couple other attachments here, one for opening and closing devices. I'll talk about that in the next video, but then one for writing your thesis, which we are certainly going to work on here and now. These are to help you. They're not more work. They're things to help you accomplish completing your outline. I'm also covering these in the video, again, which you are watching now. In addition, please pay close attention to how to include parenthetical references after each quote. We won't actually do that today. I'll touch base on it a little bit, but I'll get more into detail about that in the next video. Please begin working on this week, so I can field any questions early so you can complete it by the due date next week. This is a 50-point writing grade, and along with the 100-point final draft of the paper, is an extremely crucial grade for the quarter. To be blunt, you cannot ignore this assignment or the actual research paper and still pass the quarter. Okay, that's how these writing grades work. Okay, so the overall document is the argumentative research outline. Okay, that's what you're seeing here. I'm just kind of introduce you to this first. Okay, you start like with any paper, you start with some kind of opening device. We're not going to work on that today yet. We're going to go straight to the thesis. That's the main thing we're going to be working on. And from there, each of 3 body paragraphs has a topic sentence. Okay, and this one here would be stating the first point of your blueprint. This one here, topic sentence, will explain the second point of your blueprint from your thesis, and then the third one. Okay, and then under each one, you're basically your writing is going to be centered around a couple quotes. You've already got your quotes, right? So here in this red box and here in this red box, you're going to put 2 quotes that correspond with whatever point you're making here. Same in this paragraph, same in this paragraph here. And then this is just for introducing that point that the quote makes. And then the commentary is you making that part of your argument. And then you do the same thing again with another quote. See, it's also all real symmetrical, okay? And this is, if you do this well and completely, then you'll end up with what is essentially a rough draft of your paper, and the final draft will not be hard. Okay, so review what I've got open here. Okay, So the handout, Write Your Thesis, which I do have attached to the assignment. It might not have been listed there yet, but it will be by the time you watch this. So after viewing the template and examples below, write your own thesis for your paper. Try to share with me at some point to check it out, and then copy it into the thesis box in your outline that you're working on. Okay, so you want to finish making that, and then you want to put it in right here, and that drives your paper. Okay, let's look back here. It's going to look like this. You can reword this to make it your own, but it's basically going to look like so-and-so is a big problem because of so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so. This is a big problem because of this, this, and this. That's all it is, guys. The thesis is one sentence. Pretty easy, huh? To make it good, try to add your own word choice, something else besides big, to reflect the significance of the issue that you're writing about. Keep the 3 reasons concise. That means, not too many words, so the sentence isn't unreasonably long. Little typo there. Fix that. Don't want a capital. And there we go. You have plenty of room to lead up to with an opening device later in your actual paper, but for now, let's just concentrate on this one sentence to drive your paper. Remember, 3 reasons should correspond with the 3 body paragraphs you set up in your outline and in the same order. Now, here are some examples from other papers. Notice the structure, word choice, the conciseness. People not wearing masks continues to be a problem because stores don't always enforce masks after entering. People don't always wear masks at gatherings, and masks have more positive effects than negative effects. Now notice the colors there, right? I have this correspond to this really simple template here, okay? Going against wearing a mask is an ongoing problem because 1, it spreads sickness, 2, it can cause death and other deadly effects to your body, and 3, it is disrespectful to our healthcare workers. And then there are 2 more. Not all these are about the kinds of topics about social distancing and masking that we're doing, but they all follow this similar pattern. Okay, don't get confused with these little things out here. That's just the beginning of the red section. That's just the beginning of that green section. They all have purple for the topic and red, yellow, green for the 3 supporting points, right? Okay, so you got to do that with yours. Well, how are you going to figure out what your 3 points are? Well, you need to go back and look at your research. Okay, now you're not going to have colored highlights on your research. I've done that ahead of time to remind myself. This is looking at someone's sample notes. It's someone in this class, actually. Your paper's not going to look exactly like what I'm going to do here, though, right? All right, if you did it correctly, then you have a works cited entry for one source, 4 quotes from it, a works cited entry for a second source, 4 quotes from it, and a works cited entry from a third source and 4 sources from it. Now, what you have to do, and what I've done here, I pretended this is mine. I've looked it over and I've thought to myself, all right, what are the kind of 3 general areas of information that I sort of have here? And I decided, well, there's some stuff about the purpose of masks. There's stuff about how to wear masks effectively. And there's something about maybe the limits of mask wearing. And all those, I'm going to say, are part of the overall problem of people not understanding mask usage. Okay? So, if I think to myself, let me just kind of go back here and at the space where I have to start writing my thesis, I'm going to go and put that main point. People not understanding mask usage is, I'll just put a big problem because, okay, I've got the stem of my thesis, right? And now I've got to figure out how am I going to kind of put that together, okay? Now, by looking at my quotes, what I've decided here is this: they provide a barrier that keeps respiratory droplets from spreading, and wearing a mask helps protect those around you in case you're infected but not showing symptoms. Okay, those to me are both kind of about the purpose of masks. I also decided that for how to wear masks, have 2 or more layers of washable, breathable fabric and fit snugly against the sides of your face and don't have gaps. Those are about, seem to be about how to wear a mask properly that people might not understand, right? And then I also found this one for a mask is not a substitute for social distancing. Masks should still be worn in addition to staying at least 6 feet apart. I felt like that was kind of about the limits of masks, as was this one. Now you might notice you don't need to get both quotes for 1 point from the same source. Okay, now that happened to have happened here with the yellow ones and the red ones. But the green ones, my point about limits, I got one from one source and one from another. Okay, so it's not like each source should be about a different point. It may work that way, it may not. So also here, masks are an additional step, not the only step, right, to help prevent people from getting spreading COVID-19. That's another thing about limits. Okay, so that's how I decided those would be my 3 points, right? Now, kind of looking ahead to the outline. Okay, you see where we're going to put these, right? So even though the color scheme isn't exactly the same because I made this document separately, this is where I would put my red quotes. This is where I would put my yellow quotes. This is where I put my green quotes, right? Or what, whatever order you want to do them in, and then you put them in the same order in your thesis, right? So let's maybe go back and just go ahead and write that thesis. People not understanding mask usage is a problem because people often don't understand. Oops, I'm a bad typist, you guys. Their purpose. Okay, that's one. How to, I don't have to repeat people often over and over again, right? People not understanding mask usage is a big problem because people often don't understand their purpose, how to wear them, or their limits. And I chose those topics and worded them based on the quotes that I had. Now, if you can't figure out 3 overall points to make based on the research you've gotten, you might have to do a little bit more. You might have to dig up another source. You might have to pull more quotes. And if you just kind of pulled random quotes, then you weren't really thinking about what you wanted to argue, then, you might be a little bit short on that now. Okay, so I've got my thesis here, right? Color coding the way we did before, that's the purple part, right? That's the topic. And then that's my red first point, right? That's my yellow second point. And that's my green third point. All right, so let's say at this point, you show this to me in an email or a note or something and say, it looks good, or maybe think about changing this one or work on the wording. You got it together, copy it from here over to the outline and paste it in. Whoop, that didn't work for some reason. Let me try that again. Copy. And there we go. People, okay, so we got our thesis in there, right? Now, because I've done it that way, let's go ahead and do the things with the quotes, right? Back here. All right, so my reds were going to be my first, right? Okay, so I'm going to copy that one. I'm going to put that right here. Don't worry about highlighted colors. You can always get rid of those later, right? Might make more sense to keep them for now. Okay, there's my other one that I was going to do with my first point, right? Copy. Put that in right there. Okay, second body paragraph. These would be my greens. Now, you don't have to do all these color things, or yellows, I guess. You don't have to do all these color things, but I'm just doing that so you can keep track of what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to put that in here. My other quote, yellow, that went with my second point also. Copy that. Put that in here. And then my third body paragraph, those are my greens, right? Here's one. Copy. Whoops. And my other green point, which was from my third source, goes right there. That's the point I want to try to get you to today, guys, okay? If possible, and otherwise catch up later. If you happen to have missed class, then do this later tonight or tomorrow, but we got to do this and move on, okay? So we've got our thesis. People don't often understand their purpose. That quote's about this, that quote's about this. People understand how to wear them, all right? Here, or their limits. We got this quote here and this quote here. So the next thing, I want to add an opening device, and we have some strategies for those on another handout. We want to write the topic sentence for each paragraph, and we want to introduce each point and comment on each point. introduce this quote that you have here and comment on it to make your argument. Same thing in this body paragraph, same thing in your last body paragraph. And then we restate the thesis differently later, and we have a closing device, and that's your whole paper. You do the outline well, then you basically have a rough draft here. Okay, I think that's all I need to show you, and that's probably plenty to do for now. So let's be working on that today. Some of you might have even kept up to maybe do this while we're watching this video, or maybe later as you watch it again. But this whole thing is due by middle of next week. Okay, that's your first step. I'll do another video in the next couple days, and we'll go over it live again, just like we did today. But I think that's enough for now. All right, welcome back. Let's keep up. Let's not have any zeros on a writing assignment. See you soon.